Have you ever wondered why narcissists behave the way they do? How it seems like he can attack you relentlessly while at the same time seeming to have it all together, hiding behind a facade, a mask, and then continue to move on to the next person and vice versa. The cycle just repeats over and over and over again. Today, I want to talk to you about one of the hidden aspects of narcissistic behavior that oftentimes is underneath the surface. You don't actually realize this piece of cowardice that underlies the manipulation, the control, the image that they're putting out there. And by understanding a piece of this, you'll understand not just the actions, but the piece underneath. And I'm not saying this to provide or ask for sympathy for the narcissist by any means, but it's a way to be able to show, hey, this is driven from an insecurity, from a cowardness. It's not driven from a sense of power, which oftentimes it feels like it is in the moment when this person is like lording it over you or belittling you or putting you down. If you're new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness of narcissistic abuse. I'm the founder of Raw Motivations and your guide in the Clarity Challenge to break you free from the trauma bond, the obsessive thinking, the rumination, the thought process that keeps you cycling back and forth to a toxic person. You can access that at claritychallenge.net. If you want to talk to me personally to be able to help you move forward in your growth, healing, change, and development, then go to rawmotivations.com. Would love to interact with you there today. When we talk about this aspect of narcissists being cowards, the first aspect is them putting up this mask or facade of confidence, this appearance that they have it all together, this appearance of projecting out there that, oh, I know what I'm doing, I'm good, I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to ask anyone for advice, like I'm good. And this piece was very much inundated in my life is because I wanted to look and act a certain way. I wanted to feel like I was in control when I wasn't. I wanted to pretend that I had all the answers when I didn't. I wanted to be perfect when I actually wasn't. But I wanted to keep projecting that so that other people would think and see and be like, oh, he's got it all together. When in reality, I didn't. In reality, I was a liar and a cheater and so many other things that were underneath the surface that I didn't want to admit to and that I didn't want to show. Now, oftentimes, narcissists will appear completely put together, especially in the workplace environment. But then when you come back home behind closed doors, everything starts to fall apart because then that admiration, that validation that they got from all of their achievements doesn't start coming out in the home environment because they don't have any achievements in the home environment. They're not actually showing up. They're not actually engaged. They're lying and cheating and stating and doing all the different things that they want to do versus actually having a partnership with the person that they're with. And so a lot of times the narcissist is trying to maintain this image. Because if I can keep this image, then it's going to avoid the inner stuff. It's going to avoid the stuff that's deep down inside. The shit that I don't want to be honest about, that I don't want to reveal to the world, that I don't want to actually say, oh, this is who I am. It's like, nope, have to be able to hide this. Have to be able to run from it. Think about this. You might have a narcissist where he's got a very successful career. See this a lot of times. A lot of times narcissists are very successful because they continue to steamroll over other people. They continue to move forward quickly. And oftentimes it projects this image of competence to the rest of the world. Like, wow, he's amazing. He has it together. Like, I wish I had his relationship. I wish I had his life. I wish I had, like, all this kind of stuff will go through people's heads of like, wow, he's got it all together. But at home, it's completely different. At home, behind closed doors, he refuses to take responsibility. He refuses to actually be accountable for his actions. He's turning stuff around. He's belittling you. He's making you feel bad. He's criticizing you because he's got all these achievements. He's got this great job. He's got all this money and you don't. You see this oftentimes where narcissists will be like, hey, I just want to take care of you. Why don't you quit your job and stay at home? Then you stay at home and about a year later, he's like, wow, you're so lazy because you just stay at home all day. Like there's all this flip that happens because the narcissist has to make sure he's the one in control, hiding the stuff that's inside. Now, what's some of the things that's inside? One of the biggest things that's underlying inside narcissistic personality disorder is the concept of shame. Shame is an ever-raging river underneath the narcissist. That is what triggers, that is what pulls up insecurities, that's what pulls up these fears, and oftentimes what makes the reaction so abusive in multiple ways because it's this idea of let me avoid shame at all costs. It's like you're trying to avoid something, and even if it hurts someone else, you'll make a choice, let me do this because then I don't get hurt. A narcissist, that's how they think. Let me make this move because then it means that I'm not the one responsible. I'm not the one accountable. I'm not the one that's going to feel the pain or feel hurt by me doing something wrong. Starts off with a simple aspect of guilt. And yes, narcissists feel guilt. Where a narcissist does something and then realizes, hey, I did something bad. Then that has to get compartmentalized, shoved to the side, moved away as quick as possible, because if not, it will bring about this piece of shame that says, not just I did something bad, but wait a second, I actually am bad. That goes against the core aspect of the mask that the narcissist is putting up there that says, I'm a good person. So then now the narcissist has, I'm a good person and I am bad. Which one's going to win? Well, the one that they can push down and compartmentalize is the one that's going to lose to be able to focus on, I'm a great person. It's all good. You see, underneath the narcissist's confident exterior lies this deep well of shame. This raging river that's going to continue to spill over and to affect every single aspect of their lives. And so with this, there's this piece of like, I don't want to confront it. I don't want to deal with it. And I will do anything I can to avoid it, to run away from it. For me, I would avoid vulnerability at all costs because vulnerability felt like shame. Vulnerability felt like death. Vulnerability felt like something where I was going to get exposed and I didn't want to get exposed. No matter what, it's like, what can I do to hide from getting exposed? So I would run from it. I would try to make sure I was hidden. I would try to make sure anything I would do. And so even if I had to lash out at someone else, even if I had to belittle or put my wife down or tell someone at work that they were stupid or make them feel stupid by my response, whatever I had to do to make sure that they were underneath, because I didn't want to actually expose that I might not have something altogether. Think of something like this. You've got this aspect of where the narcissist, he doesn't show up for the kids. Like he hasn't been showing up for the kids at all. He doesn't show up for their games, doesn't show up for their parties, doesn't show up for anything. But he's projecting to the world that he's a good guy, that he's a good father. Maybe he sees them once in a while, tries to snap a couple of pictures, that way he can post on social media so he looks like the good dad. So he constantly fails at actually showing up for the kids, but switches around and blames it on you. That is your fault. It's your fault he doesn't show up for the kids. It's your fault that he doesn't have access to them. It's your fault that he's not engaged in them. All different things, and then blaming you for being a bad mom. You're going to see this over and over. The narcissist is going to put things on you because he's not willing to actually be accountable for himself. Then we move into the third aspect, which is just running away from the truth. Narcissists prefer to believe lies about you rather than embracing the unpleasant truth that they're actually wrong. So in this aspect, I would rather make up and project a lie onto my wife than I would actually be accountable that it was my fault. I'd rather switch the scenario, rewrite history and be like, oh, that didn't happen that way. That was your fault. You made me do it. You did this, instead of it actually coming down to me. Because it coming down to me is vulnerable, is honest, and uncovers the unpleasant truth that I actually did something wrong, therefore I am wrong. Do you see how that progression goes, how that step goes? That's what the narcissist is like running from over and over and over. So each time it feels more safe, it feels like safety is going to be there if I don't experience that emotion. The guilt, the shame, the pain, whatever it might be. If I don't experience that, then it's okay. And so this is why narcissists will run away from any piece of reality, will pursue to make and confabulate their own perception of reality that puts them as the good person and the other person is the bad person, even when the other person did nothing wrong. It's like, what do I have to do to be able to run away from the cause and the effect of just what happened? How do I actually disconnect from it? How do I not feel bad about it? How do I make sure that I'm okay regardless if anyone else is okay? Do you see how all of this becomes self-centered and becomes self-serving? So the narcissist is only looking out for himself. Like, what do I need to do to protect me? If it runs over everybody else, totally fine. Think of it for an instance that you're standing in the middle of a road. And the narcissist is standing in front of you in the middle of the road. And down the road, a far distance, you can see a car coming. Really far. And as it gets closer and closer, you realize it's going at a fast pace. Maybe it's hitting about 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. And as it gets closer and closer, you can actually make out on the bumper of the car, it's two words. guilt, and shame. As that car starts approaching closer and closer, the narcissist sees that. The narcissist recognizes if that car gets close enough, he is going to get hit. He is going to get impacted with the guilt and shame. That is going to hurt. So as a result, the narcissist jumps out of the way at the last second and the car proceeds to run over you. This is what's happening on a daily basis. So the narcissist sees and understands and knows that there's something coming at him that's going to expose him for the mask that's actually there, that's going to show that he's not actually the perfect person. And if he can move out of the way by putting you down, by belittling you, by gaslighting you, by manipulating, if he can move out of the way as fast as possible, then it will run over you and it won't cause him harm. That's the thought process. As skewed up as it is and how illogical it is, that's the thought process. A narcissist would rather have you get hurt than him get hurt, because then in his mind it's justified. Well, at least I wasn't hurt. That's all it comes down to. If you're dealing with this today and you're struggling trying to understand, hey, I don't understand how he could even do this, I wanted to turn the tables and flip it around of like, okay, let's focus for a moment on your growth. How are you going to heal from this? How can we actually walk you through this? We walk you through understanding narcissistic behavior and breaking the obsessive thinking about him so you can actually heal inside the Clarity Challenge. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, would love to help with that. You can do both at rawmotivations.com, either the Clarity Challenge or talk to me. Would love to be able to help you move forward in your growth, in your healing, in your change. Y'all have a blessed and a wonderful day. Remember, there's no excuse for narcissistic abuse.